Hotz Live.
Hello. Oh man, all the questions already rolling in.
Is there a 10 to 20% off trade-in? No trade-in. So let's wait until it hits like 30 seconds. You can answer a couple questions. Great stream. Thank you.
Hello, nerds. Hello to you.
Start. How's everybody enjoying the sale? Anybody buy? More discount. We can't.
Guys, we gave so many discounts over the last month.
We lowered the price a month ago, and then we gave a discount on top of that. We sell these things profitably. Which is good for you, because then you guys want the comma 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, production team tries to make them efficiently, and we lower the price as we can. But we got to keep making money.
This is lower than the comma 2 price. And the comma 2 was a phone, and we put a little board on it with the U-blocks and a couple other things. Bought my first one. Great. I think you're going to have a good time.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, let's get to driving. So we're going to show you guys the latest and greatest. Buy hat for 9, I get it. See it. Yeah!
We'll just go on the highway and drive a little bit.
So we'll do our standard loop here. So in our demo car, the Lexus ES, we spent a lot of time fixing this car up. That means all the TSS2 Toyotas have a much better longitudinal tune now. Unfortunately, my second vehicle doesn't support it. Looking to get a Sienna. Any updates on newer robotics appliance? We're always thinking about it. We'll tell you guys as soon as we have some ideas.
The big problem with the robotics is, I mean, we want to make things end-to-end. That's the only way that you can kind of scale, some kind of ML solution. And we've constantly experimented with trying to get indoor navigation solved with end-to-end ML, but we're just not there yet. So as soon as we're there, then I think we'll get more serious about that sort of stuff.
Someone asked, when is V0.10? So we have two big upcoming releases coming up. 0.10 is defined by the first release where everything is trained in the new ML sim. If you want to know anything about ML sim, we've talked about it a whole bunch on Discord and Comic-Con last year. You're echoing hard. Anybody else having that problem? I'm not sure what we can do about that at this point.
Maybe you gotta turn the mic around.
Not for you though.
Yeah, that's true.
We should just drop this mic. Anyway, so 0.10 is the first ML sim model. It's a whole new architecture. Yeah, somebody else no echo. Okay, cool. Yeah, so 0.10 is the new ML sim model and a whole bunch of other things, but the real defining thing is the ML sim model. And then 1.0 is we use that new ML sim and we have a fully end-to-end policy, which is essentially the deletion of experimental mode, where experimental mode becomes so reliable, it is chill mode.
Drive north a bit.
Okay. Yeah, look how smooth.
Yeah, I can give a quick update again for ML Sim for those who aren't fully up to date. So we've been shipping, end-to-end models for a few years now, and we've been shipping them in a simulator where we estimate the depth of the scene and then we reproject everything, and that allows us to deviate from where the human drove and teach the models how to correct. The problem with that is these reprojective simulators are kind of flawed. Depth estimation is just a fundamentally flawed concept. You can't reproject lights and stuff. You need to deal with reflections. So the only way to do this properly end-to-end is to train in a simulation model that can generate any kind of realistic driving video. Just imagine like GTA 5, you can initialize on any real driving video and you can just take over and start driving. And in that simulation you can then teach the model how to drive. And so that's what ML Sim is, and it's the first time we've changed the architecture this much in many, many years. So there's quite a lot of changes we have to make to actually get that to work reliably, and that's why we haven't had a release in a few months. It's the most important thing for the company to ship this. We haven't been able to get it release ready. That's what we're iterating on. It's getting better, but these big architectural changes are just hard. So you guys have been enjoying all the work that production and hardware team has done, making cheaper devices, making devices faster, more efficiently, so you can buy comma-3 cheaper.
And don't forget more reliable.
And more reliable, yeah. Cheaper, more reliable, better made, and hopefully in the next few months, the autonomy team can ship some things that you guys will enjoy too. Once these models actually start getting good, they will scale way, way better with compute. We're getting way more compute in the data center, and we'll start to really see good performance once this architecture is stable.
Comma screwed me up. I hate driving a car without it. Exactly. Now we just got to get the price to a point where it's just an insta-buy. $9.99, 3 digits. This is the first time we've been at 3 digits since the Comma 2. And the Comma 2 had a $199 harness. The brand new Harness V3 is $99. The Harness V3 is strictly better than them, unless you have a comma-pilot. But it's strictly better, cheaper, sleeker, tinier, easier to install. But yeah, anybody from Discord who's been driving the ML Sim models want to comment on it? I think they're getting quite good. We're getting close to a release. And you guys know the promise with this release. If it's not noticeably better, you can call us liars. But you can already see it do some really cool stuff. For me, I really notice this in intersections. It just really understands the scene and knows what's going on and really beautifully maneuvers around parked cars, other cars coming at you from other lanes. Absolutely love my 3x. Yeah, you have a Highlander? So you're going to get a big upgrade to openpilot long in the next release. Will Comma have a Tucky mode? I don't know what that is. Is Mach-E supported yet? I believe in some forks. We haven't announced this yet, but we have a car hacking hackathon coming up next year, where people can bring their own cars. You can port your car alongside the Comma team. We'll announce that pretty soon. So I suspect we'll get a pretty big influx of new car support after that event. If I buy Comma today, do I get the crypto NFT? Harold, do you want to talk about the Comma NFT?
All crypto is a scam, so no.
Any thoughts on Sentry Mode? Yeah, if somebody's excited about building Sentry Mode, we'd love to have Sentry Mode. Comma Prime is finally making money. Like, not a ton of money. It's not like we're ripping you off with that. You're paying for the cell service and the storage in the cloud. But it's making healthy margins, and we can afford an engineer to come and work on Sentry Mode. I really want Connect to be like, it's like your Tesla vehicle management app or your Kia. You can see the charge status, you can lock and unlock your doors. It should be the best dash cam on the market. Have you untested OP on a Tesla Model 3? Yes. We had the guy who ported it, he interned here for a little bit. EV9, that also works in a fork. Does OP learn specific disengagements on local roads? For example, if a car tries driving on a curb at a specific intersection, will it not do that? So it doesn't learn online yet. That's a very long-term thing. It learns a couple things online, but nothing like that.
Yeah, the only stuff that's learned online is vehicle-specific stuff like the steering response of the car, what kind of steering angle you need to achieve certain stuff. All those parameters are learned online, which is why the steering is as accurate as it is. But besides that, all the rest of the learning is just based on the fleet. You try to drive like the average consensus of the fleet, and you'd be surprised how good of a driver that can be. Basically, all the issues that openpilot has as a driver now is not because it's not learning some specific nuanced situation. It's just because overall it's still pretty dumb and not really capturing the consensus of human driving in most situations. If you could actually do that, you should just imagine basically an Uber driver, right? You rarely drive in an Uber driver and get upset at how they drive. That's because they just generally drive pretty well, and that's what openpilot will drive like. Not even considering learning online, adapting to your specific commute or anything like that.
So Jason's asking, what kind of validation do we do, and how do we know the new MLSim models we're merging are better?
So we have quite a lot of validation steps. Currently, one of the big metrics that we're looking at is, we have various types of simulation, all based on real data and based on like classical simulator like MetaDrive, which is like a video game basically, and we just are now looking at how reliably does it converge to lane center compared to a human in all sorts of different situations. So currently, even though these models drive well in a variety of situations, they're still not super reliable at always converging to lane center, and that's because all sorts of quirks with the simulator that introduces noise and just reduces accuracy. And so that's what we're iterating on basically. In simulation, we should have super reliable convergence to lane center all the time when there's no reason not to be in lane center. And that's basically what we're iterating on now.
been using your comma-3 without a screen. So good news, we just lowered the price of screens in the shop to $100. We've improved our screen supply chain a whole bunch. We used to pay more than $100 for these things. All these improvements in supply chain, reducing part count and stuff, has gotten the 3x so low. But yeah, the comma-3x screen is compatible with the comma-3 screen. So just buy one on the shop, you can replace it. Or you can buy a 3x. 3x is great too. Would you make a dummy radar module for Ford vehicles? So the thing with external hardware is most users aren't going to install this. So I'm sure the community will come up with it if it's useful enough. But really the new style models, once we get to 1.0, you really won't need a radar. How long is the context length?
Well, the context length is 2 seconds, and for stuff like lane changes, it has a 5-second buffer where it's told like, oh, you asked for a lane change, 5 seconds ago. But it only sees 2 seconds of video right now.
When is the update? So, anyway, we talk about this a whole lot. We talk about it every week. Why can't we ship an update? We have a very clear list. These models are just not ready. We were hoping we could ship one for Black Friday. We thought it'd be really fun to ship 0.10 along with this great sale. It didn't work out, but the sale is still going great, and we'll ship this as soon as we can. We're trying for CES now. It'd be kind of cool to have it ready for then. If any of you are going to CES, stop by the booth. We met a whole bunch of users last time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so just to add some context to the why aren't we shipping an update and how did we not predict this better? We are basically the first people to do any of this. You started seeing video generated by AI like maybe a year or two ago, and now we're training in video generated by models like that, training how to drive and actually driving on these models in the real world, and they kind of work. This is really like at the cutting edge of robotics and ML research, and so it's extremely hard to predict where the difficulties will be and what will and won't work. And so we kind of give a best estimate and try to stay ahead of things. But this is cutting edge stuff. It's not like we can look up a paper for someone that's done this before. We are the first people to do this, and it's working, and we're iterating and we're making progress. But it's there's no existence proof where we can say, well, obviously it should work this well because we're the only people doing this. So predicting when these things will be X amount of good or fix all these problems is extremely difficult. We're very happy that we're making progress and that the whole thing fundamentally works, and we hope that will translate to a way better experience very soon.
But you guys know what the good news is, right? We've always known we're going to need to do this. Over the last couple of years we've been working on it, and we knew it was in the pipeline, and we've always had to make this trade-off when we had an issue. It's like, do we try to fix it in the existing stack, or do we just wait for ML Sim? Once this ships, this is like really it. We'll be able to really look into all your issues. Each release should feel meaningfully different and should meaningfully improve. So that's the really good news with this stuff. Once we ship it, the focus is entirely on getting rid of experimental mode and making it all chill mode. What model Lexus is being driven? Lexus ES 2024, I think? It's TSS 2. I think it's the latest. We bought this new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 24. Any plans for common body arms? We tried them. They were scary. We're also, nobody's that excited about working on the body right now because we don't have a good application for it. If you have a good application, go ahead and post on Discord or comment here, but we're just not sure what it does yet.
I can add more context to that again. We do want to solve, end-to-end robotics as well as driving. We're focusing on driving because we haven't even been able to fix the fundamental stuff with driving yet. With robotics, the first thing that you want with the kind of robot that we'd be willing to build is just a robot that can roam around indoors reliably, find its charger, charge itself when the battery runs out. That doesn't need like any kind of LiDAR or anything to figure out if it cannot run into stuff. And we've done experiments with that, and those things are getting better as ML improves and as our stack improves. But it's not at a place yet where we can make a robot that can reliably just roam around indoors, explore the space and not get stuck. That's still pretty hard. But as soon as we can do that, and we'll keep trying, I think we'll be ready to explore robotics again. But that really has to be step one for any kind of end-to-end robotic system. Otherwise, you're like writing all these hacks, you're estimating the depth of the wall and how close you can get to the wall. It's just all a bit of a waste of time. So the first step before we explore robotics again is, can we make a system that can learn end-to-end without us having to hard code anything about walls or doors or hallways, to just roam around, explore, and find the charger?
Got a lot of good questions today, actually. Yeah, where are all you guys on other streams? You guys have great questions. When do you expect the need for more on-device compute? So great news there. The current openpilot uses 40% of the GPU. We use the other 60%, but for stupid things like the UI and debarring images. So in master, what we've done is I spent about a month reverse engineering the ISP on the 845, and now we have the only implementation that isn't the Qualcomm junk that can debar and process images. And it's like it's a few hundred lines in openpilot. But that entirely saves all the image processing. It fully moves it off the GPU onto the ISP, which is hardware that we essentially weren't using. So this gets back a whole bunch of GPU time for the model. We have a lot of room to grow on the 845. We also have tons and tons of 845s. So that gives you guys any ideas. We also haven't changed the on-device model at all. MLSIM is entirely software. It's entirely on the back end. Once we ship MLSIM, we can scale up the model on the device. We can train on a whole lot more data. We have a lot of stuff to explore as soon as these things, as soon as we're training something that looks like openpilot release. The problem is, when you do a refactor, but you set the bar so high before, it's just taking a while to meet that bar. Anyone know how well this would work on a 2023 Civic hatchback? The good news is we have a 30-day trial. The return process is super easy. You don't contact anybody. You don't email support. We don't ask like a million questions. Just go to comma.ai/returns if you don't like it. It takes like 10 minutes to install these days. I saw some guy on Discord who's gonna get his mom to install one just to prove that it's easy. This thing should be ready for your mother soon. We know it's not quite there yet, but like removal of the comp power and a whole bunch of other stuff, it should be getting there. Fingerprinting is basically fixed. How often do you see people talk about that? When's the next update coming out? We've addressed that. You can scroll back in the stream, affected that a whole bunch. How much data do you train on for MLSIM? So everything's trained on 500K segments, so that's 500,000 minutes of driving. But we have way more than that at the office, and then we get about 3 million minutes every single week, and that's growing a whole bunch.
Yeah, I can address the data thing. That comes up so often. I don't know, reporters love focusing on Tesla and Waymo's amount of data. Nothing in this space is limited by data. This is a complete nonsense narrative. Everyone has more data than they need, and it's also very cheap to collect data. If you look at how much,
it's cheap for us.
Well, it's cheap for us, but for them, if you compare to their burn and their valuations, they could collect huge amounts of data, paying some Uber driver to put a device in their car. But that it's just not the bottleneck. The bottleneck is machine learning, research, and these things are not data efficient, and you can throw as much data as you want at it. It won't really solve the fundamental problems, which is why we train on way less data than we have access to, because it's just there's no benefits. That might change, but right now that's not the case yet.
And if that does change, we have tons and tons of data already to play with. And we can select different stuff to upload. We have so much optionality here. The device to students interested in working somewhere like comma.ai. It's funny you asked that. So the bar is super clear for comma. Just get on one of our leaderboards. You do well on one of the leaderboards where you contribute bounties. That's literally it. And for bounties and the leaderboard, really, just keep asking yourself, why is this not better? Why is this not better? Why is this not better? And if you can do that and you can improve, it's not like you have to be great on day one. Just, if you can manage to put up PRs that we would just click merge on, then, you're already pretty high up there as far as most programmers. Somebody asked about Elon and regulation and stuff. That doesn't help. Nobody's held back by regulation. This is all a technology problem. Like we said, this is bleeding edge stuff, which makes it hard to predict. But if the regulators disappear tomorrow, you're not getting a better openpilot at all. It doesn't improve your openpilot. 26 is still the best value pick. I think the older Corollas are great. They have great compatibility. Why did George resign? George didn't resign. He's around. We'll probably be working on fuel energy efficient driving models anytime in the future. Yeah, maybe.
I think fuel efficient is more, the things that make things fuel efficient also overlap a lot of just uncomfortable driving. Openpilot isn't super good yet. It's definitely not superhuman at, accelerating and braking at good times in traffic. The situation we're starting to get in now where traffic's kind of getting more dense, any human driver would start to kind of let off the gas, not try to catch up to the lead as much, and that's also fuel efficient. Just as openpilot becomes more comfortable, more superhuman, it will become more fuel efficient.
Yeah, I mean, you guys see these models are quite good. Arrow's not touching the wheel or anything. They're very smooth. We really see the deficiencies of these models in the long tail. We're still waiting on city driving. I mean, with MLSim, it should really catch up. There's some control stuff too, but we know we have some catching up to do. I think we have good plans for this.
City driving. Yeah, we've explored. Once we get the models ready, we can drive on some cars that have more torque, that have all the control stuff we need. It's just right now, it's more about moving to the new stack and perfecting the stuff that was really good before, which is the highway, driving. And once that's there, then we can really start pushing on improving these kind of feature level stuff.
Would I notice any real world differences from 3 to 3X? No, the sounds are a little bit better on the 3X. That's probably the biggest thing you'll notice. Can't wait until Porsche is supported. I think there's a couple that are. You can go in the Volkswagen channel on Discord. I think Jason at least knows a few that can be supported. Can you please ask for driver user profiles? We don't have that many settings, so I'm not sure what value that would add. Will MLSim be open sourced?
What does that mean?
I mean, can they run the model?
Oh, yeah, so, I mean, we'll probably never open source, all the code base that we work on day to day. There's just not much point to that. No one can really use it without the data or the compute. This is completely useless. But what we do want to open source is obviously the driving models, which we're doing already, but is probably the simulation models, the ones where you can kind of drive around in like a video game. We've open sourced the previous version already. It's called comma-3x. You can check it out. Those models are pretty crappy compared to what we're using now. But once we get to like a next level, we'll do that again. We'll open source the data set again, and we'll open source the simulation model again too. I think it's fun for people to play around with. It's just kind of cool. But yeah.
If you guys want to understand how MLSim works or what it is, look up the Minecraft demo. That one I think is pretty illustrative. You can pan around, you can see exactly how this stuff works and get a good intuition for it. What keyword should I search? Minecraft simulation?
Some kind of diffusion paper, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look up Minecraft diffusion. You'll probably find it. Maybe a white paper. Yeah, we plan to write a paper. Did we miss the CVPR deadline?
No, we're planning to go for the workshop, and that's in March, I think.
Is the path to superhuman driving known and it's just work to get there, or is there still a matter of finding the path to superhuman driving in your opinion? Oh, let's look in Nabil. What's up, Nabil?
Yeah, I mean the main parts are known, but nobody's done this before. It's unclear what issues we'll find along the way. But yeah, the basic architecture is known, and it's been known for a long time. The MLSim architecture that we're using now, George originally wrote like a brief paper about this with Eder 8 years ago. So we've known about this for a long time, and we've been executing on that same mission, haven't really deviated from that much. It all takes longer than we thought, but yeah, I mean, the vision's kind of the same, and we still expect that will scale as we add compute and fix the bugs.
Comma turns 9 this January, and if you guys remember the original TechCrunch talk, $9.99 add-on, end of the year, so it took 9 years, but we're at $9.99. We're shipping at least a master and MLSim model. The $9.99 is a sale, but you can see where we're going, and we're finally getting there. We really plan to ship 1.0 well before our 10th birthday, so we really want things to pick up very soon. The sales doing quite well. People love their 3Xs. You guys saw the slick deals. We had sales earlier this year that performed super well. But the slick deals were full of comments like, what is this thing? And then people are concerned about fingerprinting and all sorts of stuff. It was mostly tech specs and nobody really understood what it did. You see that kind of shift a little bit now. People kind of get it. And what I'll say is, if you ever thought about joining us, now is a great time. We have lots to do on the hardware side. Autonomy product team are hiring. Harold's particularly interested in controls. We support 300 cars, and we have to support steering, gas, and brakes on all those. And we want good controls.
Yeah, if you're interested in controls, don't be intimidated. You don't need to be a controls engineer or have any classical controls. If you do well on the controls challenge, I'm confident you will do great here.
Yeah. The thing to realize about our hiring, it's, maybe it's a bit too direct, and, we have this trouble a lot with salespeople and all sorts of people where they think they need all these proxies and good resume and stuff. the bar is like super clear. Don't try to email him and say like, oh, should I do the challenge, or like, just do it. You do well on the challenge, we're interested. That's literally it. Is Yassine back at the office? He's never left. Yassine is working 7 days a week to get you guys in awesome. Yassine is working super hard. He was too busy to come do this drive. Comma ever go the direction of a headless unit? Why do you want a headless unit? Any room for automation engineers? I don't know what that is, but if you think you can contribute to shipping openpilot to people, we want you. And the way you can prove that is doing well on our leaderboard or doing well on bounties.
I don't know if automation means something like production related.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to come and be like, I talk to a lot of software engineers, and they're like surprised that they could be like the head of production or something, but it's all software. We got a lot of the reliability by just writing good tests. There's a lot of room for good software engineers to come and work here. We're also very aggressively hiring for hardware. There's a lot to do on both the manufacturing and design side. Yassine doesn't go home to sleep. Yassine does go home to sleep, but he's working very hard to get you guys in LSIM.
But the models keep training, so someone's always working.
Yes. But yeah, no, you guys see all the hardware we're outputting. We got the price of the 3X down. We shipped the lightning hard SOMs this year. We're shipping the tiny boxes. We're going to ship 2 different tiny boxes this year, Tiny Box Pro and the normal tiny box, with both variants. So we have most of our office is actually dedicated to hardware production. So I don't have to have anything visible on my windshield nose screen. We've thought about this. We've talked about it in Discord a bit. But we still got lots and lots and lots of 3Xs to build. We've done a lot of refactoring on the 3X too. Robo and I are working on a blog post. Robo did a lot of the 3X design. Sort of our hardware engineers. But yeah, if you're interested in a job, literally, comma.ai leaderboard and comma.ai/bounties. When will navigation be integrated for A to B? Likely not before 1.0. Is research understaffed? We know Vivek left some time back. I wouldn't say they're understaffed.
We're not understaffed. We're always looking for people who are competent and who like this sort of stuff and really want to do cool stuff. If you like the challenges, if you're good at those challenges, I think you'd be a great addition to the autonomy team and to comma in general. And also, if anyone's interested, just do well at the challenges. If you want to be an intern here, if you do well at the challenges, we have accommodation, we have food, we have cars. As long as you do well at the challenges, seem like a competent engineer, we'll figure the rest out.
150, we recently lowered it. After all of our refactors and supply chain work, we were able to get the price down to $11.50. And then we did a sale on top of that $11.50 for $9.99, 3 digits. This drive and the sale and everything are really a preview of the original vision, $9.99 add-on. It supports 300 cars now instead of the Honda Civic and the Acura ILX. Is George the one doing interviews for new hires, or Harold, or Deep or Harold? So I do the interviews for the product team. Harold does them for the autonomy team. Sometimes George will hop in there if he wants to talk to somebody. He'll probably also talk to Alex too. But the process is super fast. You'll just submit something, and then I'll probably schedule a call with you within the next couple of days. It's a pretty casual, like 10-20 minute call. We're able to extract signal pretty quickly. We just want to know, are you a smart person, are you motivated, and can you contribute independently? Can you share some inside metrics like the average engagement rate? We've shared this a whole bunch, 56% of miles, about 25% of time, and what fork most people are using. So the non-comma stuff, StudyPilot is the biggest one. Yeah, you can get 1 week unpaid work. You can get as much as you want. Go ahead and get on openpilot, pick a bounty. If you want unpaid, don't pick a bounty. Or you can skip claiming the bounty, up to you. But that's how you do that, If you want management, we don't really have much of that. I remember interviewing back in 2018 for an internship. Yeah, I think we've always had a really high bar. But I think we've done a little bit better job recently of communicating where that bar is. And it literally is, can you do well in the leaderboard? The bar is completely public. Are you a good contributor, or can you do well on the leaderboard? That is the bar.
Yeah, and we've also had people, if the challenges themselves are for some reason not that interesting, but you prove yourself in different ways. Like Yassine came in just looking at our Segnet data set and training a better Segnet that we had trained internally, so that was,
all on his own. He didn't email in and say, like, hey, if I do well on this Segnet thing, can I get a job? He just did it, put it on GitHub, and we reached out to him.
we have tons of data sets available, which you can do all sorts of interesting stuff with if you're interested. If you're a data science kind of guy, there's plenty of stuff to do. We publish the biggest data set on car controls, like in terms of steering angle, steering torque, all that sort of stuff. If you're interested in vehicle dynamics, how does the vehicle, interact with the road and all that stuff, we have bigger data sets published than anyone else. If you want to try with that, you can mess with that. And if you do cool stuff there, that's a very easy way to get an interview and an internship. As long as you do cool, interesting stuff that is difficult and challenging, that's all you really need.
Yeah, openpilot 1.0. Come here, help build openpilot 1.0, and then come work on what's next. What is the secret sauce that makes comma companies? It's just sidebar. We're like 25 people. It's really clear what the goals are, what the mission is. It's like the Elon's like, what did you get done this week? This is our accountability to you guys. We're showing how the driving works back on the road. So that's about it. It's not a big secret. This comma pencil is still required for depth sensing.
Comma pencil is still used, but yeah, it's not like it is used still for depth in the test and stuff, but that's what we're trying to move away from. But a lot of the stuff that comma pencil does is still useful for other reasons. One of the biggest things that it does is it labels things that are moving in the scene and things that are not moving. Oh, it's cutting this turn.
Okay, so this is the type of stuff we're fixing.
One of the reasons it's not release ready yet.
Yes.
But yeah, so it labels moving and non-moving things, which is really important for localization. So that's kind of the biggest thing that comma pencil does, and it will probably stay that way for quite a long time. Actually, it's really localization is still something that is essential, and will probably never go away. As end-to-end as it becomes, that's one thing that will stay.
We did remove G from online localization. That's a huge win. Really exciting time to join openpilot 1.0, where we're manufacturing real consumer electronics. The reliability of these things is on par with like an average iPhone. Not quite as good as the best iPhones, but we're really getting there. The gradient's moving in that direction. So the comma-3 was 2.5x better than the comma-2, and the 3x so far is 4x better than the comma-3. So you can extrapolate from the numbers we've published. Do you track returns devices that are not well supported and not officially upstreamed? Sure. But, if somebody wants to come in and work on car stuff, we have the OpenDBC project as like a separate thing pulled out of OpenPilot now. If you want to come in and work on OpenDBC, we're really excited to have you come do that too. We want OpenDBC to move a whole lot faster than it does, and we've done all these refactors such that it can. And you see we have an external maintainer now, Jason Young, if you've seen him around. He's been on Discord for years. And we want to grow that a whole lot. And the hackathon, I think, will provide a lot of momentum for that. We have the best tools for reverse engineering these cars. We've really productionized it. You can do the whole thing. It should be pretty fun now. If you poke around in Cabana, you can just... It's a whole lot of fun to use these tools. And it's important that it's fun to work in OpenPilot. We really optimize for this. We're not having a good time. One day I might own a car that isn't tooled to work with a comma. Yeah. We'll always be limited by supported cars. And that'll be time to move on to robots. But we're getting closer. We head back to the office. We have like maybe 10 more minutes of questions.
Yeah, because we're almost in Mexico, so we probably should get back.
I don't have my license. I'm using a custom fork to get support on my car. Do you take inspiration from these forks? Yeah, but the best form of inspiration is a PR we can just click merge on. This is literally the reason. If you have a car port that is not merged yet, we just can't click merge on it. And it's not held back by us. We can move it forward. But this is the thing to realize. Since the beginning, been loving the model improvements. Great. What's the number of miles you guys have seen on a 3x? Like cumulatively or in a single drive? Some of these things have tons of miles on them. But for reference, we do 3 million minutes of driving every single week across the fleet, and it's growing pretty rapidly. I don't know the protocol, Flex or CAN or local Ethernet. And we have a great community on Discord. If you want to get into car hacking, car porting, car hacking can sound intimidating. It's really not. We've productionized the whole thing. There's lots of examples, lots of existence proofs. Just go to Discord, people can point you in the right direction. The key thing with all this stuff is just, are you willing to put in effort? And like effort in the right direction. It's really important. So, that questions document we link on Discord is super important to be able to effectively contribute and make progress on these things. Would you consider officially adding support for a car without radars? We do, but not with our own ACC yet. So once our models are capable of doing vision-only ACC, which is right around 1.0, that's when we'll switch to openpilot longitudinal. I can talk a bit about the other highlights for 010 too. So we've got the MLSIM models, the highlight feature, and then the other things we've got going on are we've completely redone the Toyota TSS2 longitudinal tune. It should feel way better in every aspect. If you're disengaging and stop and go ahead, feel free to yell at Shane on Discord. That should be completely fixed now. How's AEB work and ISP stuff going? The ISP is good. We save so much power, so much GPU time. AEB is still a work in progress, but you could see like the Panda Safety 1.0 milestone on GitHub. This is all stuff you guys can contribute to, which I think is pretty cool. Like I was saying, we also improved the Fords a whole bunch, so now they all have openpilot longitudinal by default, which I think is a whole lot better than their stock ACC. And then you can also use experimental mode easily. We fixed up the radar parser for that. We improved the controls a whole lot. And we have a pretty good pipeline now for improving longitudinal controls. You guys can go on the OpenDBC data website, and you can see the longitudinal reports for all sorts of cars. We want to productionize that a whole lot more, and give you guys a nice loop for tuning longitudinal on the cars. I think it's a lot more doable to do it in a upstreamable way than lateral was. And then we also increased the steering torque on the Fords basically to the max we can on the EPS. So Fords and Toyota should see massive improvements with Master and 010. And we have gas gating too, which is pretty cool. That's the first taste of end-to-end longitudinal in chill mode. I'll talk a little about gas gating and what that does.
Yeah, gas gating. I mean, there's this really human. In certain situations, you take your foot off the gas. You don't press the brake. You don't press the gas a little bit. There's just this concept of coasting, I think, is a really big thing in driving, and so we also have really good ground truth for that because we know when people are pressing the gas and the brake pedal. So we are using that to add the end-to-end feature where when the model thinks that this is not an appropriate time to press either the gas or the brake, so coasting, then the policy will be just to coast. You'll see this like when you come up to a turn or when you come up to a red light in chill mode. It won't stop for the red light, but it won't accelerate into it. And this just makes a lot of situations smoother where it ends up, instead of just accelerating into something, you definitely don't accelerate into something like normal ACC would do. It just kind of lets off the gas and it's a more enjoyable takeover. It also helps with coming up to turns and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's a fully end-to-end feature. I mean, we just have ground truth for when humans coast, and we let the car coast in those situations, and that works pretty well.
Anybody on the fence with the $999 price and not sure it's for them yet? I'm curious to hear your concerns. It's never been easier to install. It's never been better. These devices have never been better. Can't wait for the new Toyota behavior. Yeah, you can try it out. Try out the nightly branch. That's built just like a release. You can install it with installer.comma.ai/nightly or /comma.ai/nightly. And then, yeah, if you want to, you're still having issues and you want to report them, that's top priority. We'll get them fixed before the release. But it should be a whole lot better. Our tests show great things so far. Do you expect it to be cheaper in the future? Not soon, but long term, this is what we're working towards. It takes a long time to do this stuff. I mean, you guys saw how we got it to the 1150 price. That only lowered $100, but we redid the SOM entirely. That's a part we were buying and we're building ourselves now. We had to set up a whole new supply chain for that. We had to FCC certify that. We had to do a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a lot of work like that. We deleted the RTC battery. We deleted a whole bunch of parts. So it's a lot of this diligent work of deleting the parts you don't need, refactoring things, improving the supply chain. And I think it's a lot of fun for the right kind of person. So if any of that stuff sounds fun to you, hit us up. It is super easy to install. Yes, we just shot a new installation video too. So we'll show off the no comma power. How much of the comma-3x hardware is built in house? Basically all of it. We take in PCBs. You could see in our stream from a couple months ago the whole production line. But we built basically the whole thing in house. We have a pick and place line. We get in bare PCBs. We built the camera modules ourselves. It's all Yeah, we're building the SOM ourselves now. We call it Lightning Hard. We tweeted about it a few times. You can search it up. Our SOMs actually run a little bit cooler than the Thundercom ones. We redesigned it a bit. So overall, they're a little bit better. You won't notice it in day-to-day driving, but in the aggregate statistics, you'll see that they run a little bit cooler. When comma avoids the road cones, I'll be a happy camper. Yeah, these new models, the new MLSIM models, are very reactive to parked cars, cones, and stuff like that. You should really see this with the next release. Can comma make their own magnetic mounts? The problem with that is the connection. We'd be okay with it for the actual mounting, but not as a replacement for the OBDC, which is, I think, where a lot of you guys derive the value from. So no, that's not on the roadmap. Alright, we're almost back at the office. Any final questions? Anything you guys want to know? Happy to talk about hiring, openpilot 1.0, the sale, any hesitations anybody has about buying the product. Plans to sell extended warranties. No, that failed horribly last time. We can sell them cheaper now. 3Xs are way more reliable.
That was one of our least popular decisions ever.
So that was a very popular stream, but we sold literally one warranty. Literally one. I think you're the first person to ask about it since then, too. I don't know. Hopefully it's at a price now, too, where people aren't too worried about this. I mean, you guys remember when we launched the comma-3, we lost money on comma-3s. We lost a lot of money on comma-3s. So it wasn't a win-win. If you're having a good time with your comma-3, you really won that transaction. With comma-3x's, it's a real win-win, like some of our Chinese vendors like to say. Win-win cooperation only, please. I have two concerns. All the demos that I've seen do not much difference in driving. Okay, so the way to think about it is like, do you prefer having CarPlay over your Bluetooth audio and whatever maps your car has? I mean, they functionally do the same thing, but you vastly prefer the CarPlay. The driving is a lot like that. I think we offer a very similar amount of value as CarPlay right now. So I'd recommend just trying it out and returning if you don't like it.
It's not an FSD experience. FSD is very cool, it's a very feature-rich thing, and it's super gimmicky, but if you actually talk to people who have SSD, a lot of people don't use it in all the situations that it works. We're really trying to build just a convenience feature.
So we can see gas getting triggered here, actually. So we're taking an exit. You see the path go gray? This is actually an area where it triggers very reliably. It's not doing much because there's a lead, but if there was no lead, it wouldn't be flooring it still. It would just coast smoothly. It's a lot more chill. Where's the ETA on 1.0? Before the end of next year. But we're not going to go as far as say, you can call us liars on that one.
But yeah, as I was saying, we're really just building something that makes your drive more enjoyable. It's like cruise control, but just way, way, way better. And the fact that over 50% of miles driven by people that have a comma-3 or a comma-3x installed is driven by openpilot kind of shows you how much it adds to your drive.
I think anything under $1,000 is super attractive. Yeah, the plan wasn't to do $999, but we were so close, so we thought, let's get to the 3 digits. So we're really stretching ourselves with this one, but you guys clearly love the price. We sold over 1,000 this month, so it's going really well. This will be our best month of sales ever. What about selling refurbished or return commas at a reduced price? We don't have really enough to do that. But you can go on the for sale channel and get one for a reduced price. Though, I'm not sure there'll be a better deal than buying one new.
Here we can try the person who's talking about the cones. I'll try to drive straight at this and see if it fixes itself. Oh,
it's really good at this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how it does with this car up here too. It should navigate this quite smoothly, yeah. See, it's moving over to the right a little bit, and it's moving back.
Yeah, you can see, it's driving over a lane line. This lane line makes no sense, and it seems to be doing just fine with that. And here I can make it steer directly for this car again, and see it'll fix itself immediately. Yeah, this is one of the things that MLSIM is much, much better at. You just have to nail the stuff that previous releases were very reliable at, and I think will be a significant upgrade.
Once 1.0 release, will things move away from Discord? Why would things move away from Discord? We're not gonna like close source. Nothing changes at 1.0. The thing that changes at 1.0 is openpilot gets better. That's about it. It's not like, you know, we're gonna drop the MIT license and go sell it to Honda. It's all the same stuff. We're gonna be working on improving the driving. Maybe it'll be time for robots. Is there a new hardware plan soon? Hence the lower price. We spent all year improving the 3x so that we could lower the price and give you a great deal. I spent a lot of time on this. Roba, Igor, the hardware team, production team, making them easier to build, working on the supply chain, making Lightning hard. We didn't do all that stuff such that, you know, we can drop the 3x's like this. But we're still building tons of them. We're building more than 300 every week, and we'll continue to do so. How does comma compare to what manufacturers are currently using? It's exactly like CarPlay. Do you like using your car maps and Bluetooth audio? Bought it C3 at $21.99 on release date, and mind blowing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. These are like real engineering wins. It's not like a fake price. We raised some money and we're going to lower the price. It's very real.
I mean, yeah, what car manufacturers ship with, even today, outside of Tesla, is all really quite terrible. I mean, you can try it. Try openpilot. And
actually, so this guy with a Lexus LS, I drove with teammate in an LS recently. That's pretty decent, actually. It's similar to HDA2. Some of them are getting okay.
That. I mean, HDA2 I didn't like that much.
But it's also similar to, like, you know, the infotainments are getting a little better in the cars, too.
Yeah, I mean, the Kia infotainment's not terrible, but it's still nowhere near Apple.
Exactly. Friends don't let friends take a long road trip without a comma. That's true.
Navigate on OP. Yeah, I mean, we scrapped Navigate on openpilot because we wrote a lot of hacks to make it work as well as it did. And even with that, it didn't work that well. And it was a huge bottleneck in improving, in making MLSim work. Once MLSim works well, we can revive Navigate on openpilot. And we can do it in a way more end-to-end way. You would not believe the hacks that we wrote to make Navigate on openpilot work that well. We really just want, you put in the video of the map that the human would be looking at, and the model has to figure everything out. That's the dream. That's how this should work. But that wasn't really possible because of all the limitations in the training stack. So once we revive it, we expect it to work way better.
Any idea if Bluetooth is on the roadmap? No, hardware's there. It should all work. If you want to bring it up, we'd merge that PR if we can just click merge. I'm not going to spend any time testing that. Though if you're capable of doing that, there's a whole lot of bounties for interesting stuff like getting the boot time lower. And that's a great way to get an internship or a job.
Monthly actives like 10,000 maybe more?
No, it's more than that. It's like
15,000?
Yeah. But we don't see a whole lot of them because of they run forks that don't upload to us, which is fine. Your device is your device. Tesla, it actually works quite well. Lucas, who did an internship here, he sells harnesses. He calls it, what did he call it? Harness and chill or something? Crimp and chill, I think. It's pretty funny. Lucas is a cool guy. Yeah, I think we're reaching the end here. $9.99. Get in today. We added a little countdown. Sale ends Cyber Monday. To extent, super easy. As a senior backend, yeah, it's super easy. You don't need to know anything about hardware. Just join the Discord, hang out. We want to make it really. We're working on docs and stuff for this. It's getting time for that. OpenDVC will be like a very finished project pretty soon, architecturally, and then it'll just be about extending car support. 15K, yeah. ES Sport, normal eco effect, OP long in any way. It shouldn't. I'm not sure. You can run our longitudinal test report. It's super easy now. Oh, we can't. We're on nightly. But it's in the developer settings now. We have our brand new developer settings. Yeah, we'll be at CES. If you're there, stop by and say hi. We saw a lot of users last time. A lot of users too from like Nissan and like Aptiv and these companies, which is pretty funny. Okay, cool. I think we're good. Any final words, Olive?
No. Final words is just, production team and hardware team did their job. They made the device cheaper and more reliable. Now it's our team's job to get you much better driving. You know, I'm hopeful, but like I said, we're at the cutting edge. It's hard to predict the future, but I'm pretty optimistic. If you see the last part of our drive here, you know, that's where we're starting to see improvements from MLSim. It can reliably drive around cones. It very clearly sees obstacles in the road at low speed, that sort of stuff. So I think we're getting there.
Yeah, it should feel like a real like ChatGPT 2 to 3 moment.
Exactly.
Mainly selling. We'll sell wherever. OP. Okay, cool. I think that's it. $9.99 comma.ai jobs if you want to come help and make the $9.99 price real eventually, or work on autonomy and ship MLSim models, openpilot 1.0. Just looking for good engineers. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
All right, see you guys.